Seahawks fired Ryan Grubb as offensive coordinator today as part of the Black Monday firings go. Only 1 year up in Seattle for Grubb. That was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, the offense wasn't great, but at the same time, you thought that they would give him a little bit more of a runway to establish his system and his style of play.
Yeah, I'm definitely caught off guard by that in the sense of like, this wasn't the Bears. They had the 14th best offense in the league. The drawback was they had the 28th best run game.
That ain't going to do it, boss.
But also, offensive line beat to hell, running backs beat to hell.
Yeah, their offensive line not good, especially on the interior, and that's got to be a big concern moving forward. I think that may just show that Mike Macdonald and that defensive style that they play, they want to play complementary football. Just look at Baltimore.
Yeah, where they came from.
I mean, they want to play complementary football, and that starts with running the football and keeping your defense off the field. You're going to give yourself a better chance to win. And I think you just can look at the overall trends in football and the direction that things are going. Running the football is becoming a more and more of a premium. And Seattle couldn't do it. And I think if McDonald is looking at it and saying, scheme-wise, it's not going to be one that thrives in the direction that the NFL is going and the way that winning football is going to be played, then maybe we should carve a different path and pull this ripcord before we go too far down the line. I also think DK Metcalf, in his frustrations over the course of the season, it plays a minuscule role in this. But the fact that, you have the whole conversation amongst the fan base of, is it the quarterback or is it the receiver? That's the issue going on right now. And maybe a little bit of it is the play caller too, right?
It's certainly, I think a
sum
part
of all the parts.
But you take a look at, you can go chicken to the egg. Is it more the running back makes the offensive line or the offensive line makes the running back?
No,
I'm a firm believer in
it's
it's the offensive line. You can put a lot of guys behind it, which, I mean, we've seen that time in, time out. You take a look at the Baltimore Ravens and what they have had. Even prior to Derrick Henry, the Gus Bus was successful back there. I mean, you just kind of go down the list of guys that they have back there. Why? Well, because they've had multiple Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber offensive linemen over the years. The Eagles this year are going to give both their tackles and their center are going to end up as all-pros.
And I honestly believe this with Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Like, hey, beware of the fact that his offensive line is not just great, they're like historically great offensive line.
Yes.
He's got 2 anchor tackles. He's got one of the best and most respected centers in the NFL. You can get a hell of a lot done with those 3 guys on an offensive line. Everybody looks creative. Ben Johnson has a deep bag, and he is wildly creative, and I think that's why this team is that good, right? Because he's doing it with Jared Goff. It's not like he's doing this with a plus, quarterback back there. But I think the weapons that Ben Johnson has at his disposal, if he goes in, everybody's like, oh, the Bears just need to throw all the money. Do we know that it's going to work the way it is in Detroit right now?
Oh,
yeah, he'll have a quarterback. Yeah. He'll have a couple of weapons that are young. But that offensive line is dreadful, and no coordinator has the touchdown play with a bad offensive line.
And we were talking about this going to the break because Mike McCarthy is the coach that the Lions have reached out to for permission to talk to, or requested permission to talk to be
the
there.
Bears requested
I'm
permission.
sorry, thank you, not the Lions, the Bears. Thank you. And I'm just sitting there going, why? I am 100% saying pay Ben Johnson. I am 100% saying throw the money at Ben Johnson because
watch out now.
Look. Do they need the help on the offensive line? Yes, absolutely. It's a good thing they only won 4 games this year because they're going to have their pick of offensive line at the top of the draft.
Yeah, well, they will. I think what they're picking
was 8th?
10th. They're picking 10th overall. They may have to trade up, but that's going to be higher number 1 that I'm most intrigued on in the NFL. Is Bears head coach, because of you have Caleb Williams, you have a front office that is seemingly committed to spending money if available. I think that is an interesting one. I also think the outside of my fandom of the team. The Patriots, because you have a young quarterback that is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Now you just need to put the pieces around him, get him a better offensive line, get him some weapons. It's not going to be a 1 year, everything is better in New England. It's going to be multiple years.
Both those teams, the Bears
But
and
you have a quarterback.
Yeah, the Bears and the Patriots are in the same boat of needing offensive line. In the first 2 mock drafts I have them looking at, both drafts have them both taking the exact same players. At pick number 4 for the Patriots, it's Kelvin Banks.
Yeah.
At pick number 10 for the Bears, it's the Will Rudolph, the tackle from LSU.
Big old tackle.
Yeah, and they're absolute monster human beings.
Oh.
And it's like, yeah.
That's where it's going to start and finish, man.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about like the NFL draft and be months away and how this is all going to shape up, I think those two things, those two places, if they both stay there, if you're saying like where are they going to go, I think it's the most like throw a dart land on those two guys of anybody in this draft.
Yep. And that's a really tough spot for Seattle too, because they were good enough almost everywhere else to where they pick 18th. And I don't, with an interior offensive lineman, you're not going to get, like, you need left tackles, right? But you need to improve dramatically on the interior of your offensive line. And at 18th, you weren't bad enough to get your first pick, right? The pick of the litter of those interior offensive linemen. And that's unfortunate because the team was good enough to be in a spot where they're drafting middle late. Actually, they're very last of any of the non-playoff teams in the draft selection at 18th overall.
The first couple of drafts I've looked at mock drafts have them taking Luther Burden, who was
wide receiver, Missouri,
who was at one point in time like a top 3-ish kind of guy coming into the season.
That's a weird move.
Mm-hmm.
See DK. Let's trade DK for an interior offensive line.
I mean,
no, not gonna happen.
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It's okay. The Athletic has the Raiders taking Drew Aller, which would be my own personal hellscape.
I'll get used to it, pal.
God, I would despise every bit of that.
I know you would, because your hate for Drew Aller is something special.
I don't think I think he's a perfectly fine college quarterback.
I don't think he is a top level.
I don't think he's an NFL
quarterback either.
I don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
He is.
Forget top level.
Daniel Jones 2.0.
I mean, Aiden O'Connell, who is, yeah, it's tough.
What do you mean, Aiden O'Connell? Where were you going with that?
You'd
rather have Aiden O'Connell?
Yeah.
I don't think you mean that.
Yeah,
I don't think you mean that
do.
at all.
And I don't want him.
Wait, are you saying the Raiders will take him at 6th?
No, they have them trading back here with the Bears.
So you're gonna take him 10th?
Yeah. Yeah. This is, like I said, this is my own personal hellscape.
Yeah. What's going to be even better is that, like, you are going to be so against this pick, and then he becomes like a Pro Bowl quarterback, and you're going to be like, still not the guy.
Look, if he does, I'll reverse course and just say I had it wrong.